our teams and on other teams and just become one program united together. So I really loved listening to Bethany and Sarah talk last week and the week before, and so I got to know like what you guys usually do during this time. So that's my mom obviously, but you didn't know, it's 91. And so then she had me do a word, and I really love like servant leadership because I've been a captain on probably like I'd say on average 8 out of 10 on like the teams I've been on. I've been playing since I was 9. I'm 22. I play Division II volleyball in Florida, but I also play Division I at the University of Nebraska. So I've transferred a little bit, but so I get all the experiences. But anyway, so I've been playing for a long time, and I'd say on average 8 out of 10 teams that I've been on, I've been a captain, and it just makes a big difference on the kind of role that what your coach thinks a captain is, what your players think a captain is, what you think a captain is, what you think servant leadership is, and all that stuff based on, and when I've not been a captain, who's above me, who's the leader, and how their leadership style is. And anyway, all I say, we're going to talk about servant leadership and why I think it's the best form of leadership, and why your captains should be servant leaders first and foremost above anything else. So first of all, in Matthew 20 through 28, it's about the disciples. So Jesus had 12 disciples, and I like to think of the disciples as a team, just like you guys are a team. Just like my college team is a team. We have 18, I think, in the fall. Well, we're not 18 students, but we're 18 teammates. So, you can think of it like that. But basically, 2 of the disciples and their mom, I think it's like James and John, or something like that. But you can get it. But they are kind of arguing about who's going to be the greatest, who's going to be the best, who's going to be at the right hand of Jesus, who's the #1 disciple, who's the quote-unquote captain, who's the leader, who's the best disciple, who's going to have the most treasure in heaven, who's going to be the greatest, me-focused, self-focused, who am I, what am I going to do? I'm second in command next to Jesus, even though Jesus is way above all of us, more than we could ever imagine. So they're talking, and they're like, who's going to be the greatest among us? Their mom's like, which of my sons is going to be greater than the other 2 brothers? And Jesus says, he says, it shall not be so among you. But whoever would be great among you must be your servant. And whoever would be first among you must be your slave. Even as the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. So, these are the guys that are like best friends with Jesus. So they think they're on their high horse, and they think that they're amazing, and they think that they should be #1. And Jesus tells them that whoever wants to be great among you, so you look around at each other, whoever wants to be great among all of you, out of all the volleyball players in the world, whoever wants to be great among you would first be your servant. Whoever wants to be first among you must be your slave. Even as the Son of Man is like the greatest of all time. Like, talk about yo, is Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously. And not even he was like, you need to bow down and worship me. I'm the best. I'm great. I'm Jesus. Like, I need you. He came not to be served. He didn't ask Lindsay, please serve me. I'm Coach Jazz. I need to serve. I'm here to serve you. That's what Jesus said to the disciples. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to put myself last. The Son of Man, the above all kingdom, ruler of heaven and of all creation, put himself last. And we see that in so many different forms in the Bible that you can look and read at. But that's just the first thing that came to mind. And then also in Matthew 19, it's talking about receiving eternal life and glory, and also on earth like crops. And it just says, but many who are first will be last, and the last first. And when you think of worldly or earthly leadership, people want to be captains, or they want to be in charge because they want to have power, they want to have self-focused glory, they want to tell other people what to do, they want to be served, they want to think they're the best, but that's not leadership. That's like the total opposite of leadership. Traditional, there's a little chart that I can send you guys on the group meets, but it just says that there's a comparison between traditional or worldly leaders and servant leaders and godly leaders. Servant leaders seek leadership as a rank to obtain. They want to be captain for the title. They want to put it on their resume. They want to be up and do the coin flip, which literally means less than nothing. They want to have the line under their jersey. Some people do that. You know what I'm saying? That's a rank to obtain. That's traditional leaders. Servant leaders seek leadership and they see leadership as an opportunity to serve others. Okay? Traditional leaders speak. Servant leaders listen. Traditional leaders believe that it's about them. Servant leaders understand it's not about them. So when I was a freshman, I'm a redshirt senior now. I'm going to be redshirt senior in high school. When I was a freshman, my school is called Palm Beach Atlantic University. It's a mile from the ocean, so if you ever go to Florida, you should totally come visit. But it's called Palm Beach Atlantic. When I was a freshman, we had awesome seniors. They were great leaders. When I was a sophomore, and they were captains, we had a senior who was a captain. She was super nice, she was sweet, she was really good at volleyball. But all I really remember about her leadership was that she talked all the time. And she didn't actually do anything. In timeouts, she was the first to speak, the last to speak, in the middle to speak, interrupting people. In between sets, the first to speak, the last to speak. She was always talking, which is fine. But at some point, it's just in looking out the other when you talk the most. Actions speak louder than words. This is a really good book. I recommend reading it. It's called The Hard Hat. It's about a guy who led the cross. And he was a great servant leader and stuff like that. But it talks about how he put his team first and embodies how our players are supposed to act on and off the field. Okay, here it is. The quote that he likes to live by is, "Well done is better than well said." It's just a rephrasing of actions speak louder than words. You know, you can talk all you want. You can say, hey, bring your card. Hey, do this. Hey, get on the line. But if you're not doing it yourself, you know, you're not being by example. You're not being a servant leader. You're just talking. So this guy's name was George. It says he was a quiet leader. He doesn't talk a lot. He speaks through his actions. Little did we know at the time how much his actions would tell us. And it goes on to talk about him. And it talked about how actions mattered to him and actions speak louder than words. How he acted as if he was a walk-on trying to make the team. You know, humility, we had humility like 2 weeks ago, ties in really well with servant leadership. Well done is better than well said. So, just another characteristic of servant leaders that's super important. Another quote that I found says, if serving, you know, helping one another, if serving is below you, if you're too good to serve, if serving is below you, leadership is beyond you. So, is that your quote? Is that your quote?
That's Brooke's quote too.
Cool, that's good, I'm glad. So it says, if serving is below you, leadership is beyond you. So if you think that you're better than all your teammates, or you're too good to serve, or you know, you're a senior, so the freshmen need to put up the nets, then being a leader, being a captain is not for you. My other teammate, her name is Molly, she's amazing. She played Division I volleyball at UCF. I think it's like University of Central Florida or something, but it's in Florida. And she played there for 1 year. She was a freshman. She was the starting 5-1 setter. She was really great. And she hurt her wrist and her fingers one day, not severely, but enough to just kind of be in pain. One day, diving for a ball and playing volleyball at UCF. She was like one of 2 freshmen. The other ones had all quit. And so she was one of 2 freshmen. The other freshmen didn't come on one of the travel trips. And they had a rule where the freshmen did all of the work, setting up the nets, carrying the balls, getting the water, whatever. And so she was the only one. And she had like a really hurt wrist, a hurt finger. She was the starting setter. Her older teammates that were setters, that weren't starting because she was a freshman, so you were, didn't like her. So they didn't help her. They were very self-focused. And she had to every day set up the nets, carry the waters, put all the balls. Like, can you imagine setting up? And this is a college program, so they have at least 3 nets or 2, setting up all by herself, and no one would help her because they're self-focused. They think they're above that. They're senior. She's a freshman. They didn't like her because she was playing over them. All that stuff. So that's just a terrible, probably terrible feeling for her, terrible example of what to become. So she transferred to my school, PBA, we're a small private Christian school, and we have a rule where the freshmen go first in the food lines. So when we eat before our games, our games at 7, we have a pre-match meal at 4, the freshmen go through the line first. Just to show an example of serving and putting ourselves last. When I was a freshman, the seniors were so amazing. They took us to the beach, and the seniors washed our feet at the beach as an example of Jesus and what he did in the Bible for other people, and what other people did for him as just servant leadership. And they were seniors; they were all Americans. You know, none of the freshmen really played, and they took us to the beach, washed our feet as an example of how upperclassmen should act, not making them do everything by themselves. they're above service, and putting them above themselves. And so Molly had a whole different experience at UCF versus at PDA, because when she transferred in as a sophomore, she had these amazing seniors who worked hard every single day, put the underclassmen first every single day, and she grew into be that kind of leader because that's what she saw. So she did that for me. She's a year older than me, so she did that for me when I was a freshman and when I was a sophomore, and all that stuff. So that's just a personal example. Another quote, another section from another guy who wrote this book says, "Always remember that your greatness as a leader will not be determined by how much power you accumulate." It's not about power, it's not about self-focus, okay? It will be determined by how much you serve and sacrifice for others to help them become great. Great leaders don't succeed because they are great. They succeed because they bring out the greatness in others. My freshman, sophomore, and junior year, I've been in college for 5. This will be my 5th year because I'm still getting redshirt and stuff. It's really hard for me to not focus on myself. I really like attention and glory on the volleyball court, not so much off the court, but on the court of like, I'm the best one, I'm a really good hitter, I'm a really good setter. All this, I want to be an All-American, I want to be All-Conference, all this to me. And so far, I'm not an All-American, not an All-Region, I'm not even All-Conference. I was a captain one year and then not captain the next. So, the Lord takes what we want the most, especially if it's worldly, and He'll put it at the bottom of the list. And I wish so badly that when I was younger and still more of a younger leader, like sophomore and junior, and my second time being a junior, that I was more of a servant leader. I was still super, super self-focused, and I know I was never intentionally, it didn't hurt my teammates, but it wasn't a good example to them. And so now I'm reality check. It's my very last year. I'm so sad. I wish I had 3 more years of PBA instead of just 1. And so I'm doing everything I can to reach out. I have 7 incoming freshmen, and only 4 for the COVID year. Only 4 returning players that have even really worn a PBA jersey on the court, and we have 18 people. So what kind of example am I going to set for them? Am I thinking to myself, well, I've been here the longest. I've been in college since I was 17, and now I'm 22. I've been on this team since I was 17. That's 5 years. You're a freshman out of high school. You don't know anything. You've never worn a PBA jersey. You don't even know where you're going to live. You don't really know anything about the school. So please go sit up a minute, and I'll tell you what you need to do because I've been here longer. I'm better than you. I'm older than you. I'm a captain. Blah blah blah. That is just so opposite of the way that I need to be thinking. I need to be thinking, I have 7 incoming freshmen. They don't know anything about the program. I need to take them and wash their feet, legitimately or metaphorically, figuratively. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I need to show them, right? Because there are going to be 7 freshmen. Maybe all 7 will stay. Maybe they won't. But I know they're not going to stay if I treat them the way Molly was treated at UCF, right? And I should be focused on building the program, building them up, leading them towards Jesus. Some of them don't know Jesus. Even though we're a Christian school, not all Christian athletes just come to a Christian school, right? They come to the beach. So I need to show them who Jesus is in me, lead them on and off the court, put myself last, right? Not focus on my own individual accolades, my own individual success, because that's the least important thing in all of volleyball. So I just wanted to share my perspective on what I thought servant leadership and just leadership in general should look like, because actions speak louder than words, and you can't lead your team if you're not doing it yourself. Just like when we have a person on varsity lead all these small groups, how are you going to lead a group if you haven't prepared yourself, right? So actions speak louder than words. Well done is better than well said. Putting yourself last is more important than putting yourself first, just like Jesus did. And dying to self, that's what dying to self is. Dying to self is so hard. It's hard for me still. It's like an everyday battle, but it's super, super, super important. And so if you want to be a leader and you want to be a captain, you need to realize that it's about the team, and you're at the bottom of the list, and you're serving, and you're doing everything you can. The first one in the gym, and the last one out. You're filling up other people's water bottles before yourself, even though you're thirsty, right? It's just natural. It's not a sin to go serve yourself and fill up your water bottle, right? But we're not naturally thinking, what's your name? Gavin's out of water. I'm going to fill his first, right? It's not what we're thinking first. So train yourself to think that first, right? It's not bad to fill your own water, but it's just because we're all naturally self-focused, and that's just a small example. So I want you to go back into the small groups you can spread out, and a coach can go for each group, and you should kind of be someone from each team. So just you can, since we're short on time, go ahead and share your quote with the group. that you had. And if coaches, if you want them to share with like varsity wants to share with varsity later, or JV to share with JV later, you can do that too. But with your going back into your small groups, go around and share the quotes. After you say your quote what you had, think about the time that a teammate served you and share it with the group. So just think and reflect on a time that maybe someone served you, or maybe someone put themselves last, or someone was a leader in a way that wasn't self-focused, and share that with the group too. And then we're gonna have one person, after you've gone around the group, right, so say we're a group, I share my quote, I share an example of when Gavin served me, you share your quote, an example, quote, example. Okay, then you're gonna pick one of those, and you come up to me, and we're gonna share it from there.
So my example was that back when I was on a sand volleyball team, we would do like tournaments, and you would have just one other partner. So a couple of my friends ended up coming and just being my partner for that. So it was nice.
Mine is that Lily offered me some shoes when my shoes completely broke one week. But I ended up using them. But she's like instantly, here, take some of mine. I'm gonna offer them to you, and I thought that was very sweet.
Okay, when I first came here, I had no idea how to set up the nets, so Ella came and showed me how.
One time, I was in the back row, and no one was in the front row, and I go for a ball. I just absolutely just got destroyed on the ground. I'm just laying there in pain, and Nolan came from the front row up to help me out.
I had a hand injury and I lost my serve, and a teammate stayed after practice and helped me got it back.
Mine is my mom. I have practices all the time, and she was on the boat with our family and all of her friends, and I had practice, and she got off the boat to come pick me up from practice, and she didn't have to take me to practice or anything, and she's always a servant in that way, taking her time away for me and my siblings.
When I did varsity last year at my old school, I had this one senior who was a captain, and she was like always helping everyone. She doesn't sit there watching everybody do the work. She always helps and includes everyone, and makes sure like nobody's like left behind. So always wants everybody to be playing, and she always helps everybody learn everything.
You guys that well, it's so just heartwarming and nice to hear, because so many communities are not kind. Life has been a really long journey for me, and it's almost over. So I'm just glad to be sharing everything that I've learned from this, because it's such a gift. This type of community in my school is such a gift. So I just want you guys to know how blessed you are to have examples like these, staff, coaches that you do, to have teammates and parents that love you and help you, because it's really, really, really special. So thank you guys for sharing. Before we just go ahead and get with your actual physical team, and just encourage each other, share with each other, and then pray. And then if your coaches have anything else to do, that's fine. But go ahead and get with your team and pray with your team, and then that's it.